Well, we know for a fact that there are a lot of things that's happening off the field for Indian football, and it's not a great news that's happening. And a lot of things, AIFF is in a mess, and then we further got the news from the under 17 women's team camp regarding Alex Ambrose. So a lot of things happening, which would probably not a good time for you to be as an Indian football fan or even as a journalist talking about it. But I must credit the girls that are, the senior national women's team girls. They've been doing some amazing work on the field in their limited capacity, right? Because we know how many games they play in a year. And with that limited capacity, we should give them kudos because they've brought some light back into the situation, which is a good news. And we have two of our girls going to be representing clubs outside India. And that is a big news for all of us to be happy about. Now, you're listening to the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host, Siju. And today, after a long time, after a very long time, I have my dear friend Abreshmina on the show. Welcome back, Abreshmina.
Hi, Siju. So good to be back.
Yes. So let's get started. Now we have with the good news, of course, is that Grace Dangmei and Manisha Kalyan are the two recent players to now sign for international clubs, the clubs outside India. Dangmei Grace is going to Uzbekistan, while Manisha Kalyan is going to Cyprus. Avrishmana, tell us all that you have to share. How happy are you with this news first, and then if you can give us more about your thoughts about them going and playing for these clubs.
Definitely happy about the development. I'm genuinely glad for both Manisha and Grace. I don't think anybody can say that they don't deserve it. So, they have worked really hard. They've put in the performances to earn this one. So, yeah, very happy and glad for them. I do think it's a good move for both. I personally feel that for Grace, actually, it's like slightly better personally than Manisha, because I think Grace is going to get a lot of games. She's going to have the league, the cup. It's a good 6 month calendar, like full. And I think she is going to work quite a bit on her physicality over there. And she's definitely going to learn something new. So I genuinely think, like, especially being in Asia, we are not very well aware of, how football is in those parts. So yeah, it would. I'm actually very excited to know more about football over there. For Manisha, obviously, Cyprus, really good move. Would should get to play in UCL qualifiers if it comes to that. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. I am interested to see how much game time Manisha gets. That would be something that I'd be looking forward to.
Right. Like you mentioned, right? I mean, for Uzbekistan, the club that Grace is going to be gracing is FC Nasaf, and I mean, we've seen a glimpse of them in the men's competition. We saw because Indian football connection, there's a connection there because they played the men's team of FC Nasaf played ATK Mohun Bagan in the AFC Cup interzonal semi-finals. So with that and also the knowledge that you have yourself and reading about women's football as a whole, uh, how, like you mentioned, you're more excited to see how she performs and the work on her physicality. What more are you looking forward to with this particular signing, and how do you see like this development is definitely going to encourage the other players as well? This is definitely a good light, right?
Definitely, I think first and foremost, Bala's move did open quite a lot of doors for others, right? It was a move that made other players also think that, if we work hard enough and if we have good performances, we can make it too. So, it's a sort of a continuation of, what Bala started, to be very honest. And yes, it's definitely, it gives more hope to everybody who plays good football over here. So I am genuinely, like, quite excited, and I have always been one of those people who feels that our footballers should try and play in Asia more than running behind Europe where they may or may not get as many games. So yeah, I am very happy with Grace's move in that sense also, because I do think you will get to see quite a lot of her, and she'll also experience a completely different environment. Uzbekistan's environment to India's environment is completely different, so it'll be a good experience for her. For Manisha as well, I think the country that she's chosen is smart in that sense. So I do think with her speed, agility, and a sense of crossing and making those inside runs, I do think that she has a very good chance. I do think that the choice of the league and the country is good, and I think that will put her in good stead.
Right. While you were talking about all of this, I was just reminiscing of the fact that we often say that, when it comes to women's football in our country, especially, there's not much performance to talk about, and we always glorify where they come from, how the background and all of that. And I think still even today, once the signings were done, that's what people are looking back at, their journey and how has it been. But with whatever you mentioned so far, we are 6 minutes into the show, and it's all been on field performance, and you've been talking about the physicality, you've been talking about the opportunity that you're going to get over there, whether it's the weather condition or all of those things. It's so key that and it's so important, right, to see these girls play very often, or time and again, because that's what happened at least in the last couple of months. Now unfortunately, what happened in the AFC Cup we know, but leave that aside. But I think all of that has definitely helped, don't you think?
Definitely. I mean, even if you actually talk to these girls, they will tell you that playing a lot of matches in the past few years has actually helped them develop a lot. And I've always been one of those people who've said that there is no other way to develop footballers than to make them play matches, which is why, I mean, we keep stressing on the fact that there need to be more games for the girls to play, right from the grassroots level to the senior level. They just need to have a lot of games, and a lot of games with competitiveness and meaning, because that is what brings out the game from you. If you're playing in a very easy sort of environment, it's not going to push you that much. If you want to push yourself, you've got to be in testing situations. So yeah, that's what is required, and it's so essential for all of these players to just keep playing so much more and just develop themselves as footballers, because we do see that they have the skills. But you know what actually matters, especially in senior football, is your mind. You have got to be smart footballers. Even footballers are problem solvers. You are on a pitch and you have these 11 players against you, and you are just making plans to beat them using your teammates. Along with your teammates, you're just making plans how to go past them, how to beat them. So it's actually constant problem solving. So it's just very basic, and for that you need to be like very smart. So yeah, I mean, in this day and age, we need to have smart footballers, and for that they need to play as many games as possible for them to develop that intellect.
Now, all those points that you mentioned, right? The criteria for being a better footballer, being a smart footballer, how much of these points that you mentioned do you see in these two players, Grace and Manisha Kalyan? Because as much as I have seen in the past couple of months that our girls have played, um, we've often seen these two other talking points. So, what are the qualities that you see in them, and what more would you like to see from them?
Grace is what I call smart a footballer actually, because she what you'll see with her is she knows very well how to time her runs, and her off the ball movements are pretty good. Also, she has the knack of finding her teammates in good positions and play sending accurate balls to them. So, and she's obviously a dribbler. So yeah, I mean, Grace has a lot of these qualities, and she's a good player to watch when she's at her best. There was a time, maybe a year and a half back when there she was sort of like um, stagnating. But I think from then on also she's gone on and developed herself, and she's worked actually very hard to make better decisions on field, because in the end that is what matters. If you make the right decision, you'll always see things going your way. If in that microsecond, if you make a wrong decision, things can go awfully wrong. So yeah, if for Grace, I do find her quite an all-round player, and I think it'll do her a world of good to be playing so much more games, and you know um, having a completely different experience to for herself and for her national teammates. For Manisha also, we've always seen that she has that speed. Of course, I mean everybody by now knows that she has that speed, and India and Gokulam have like exploited it to the fullest. But what is very smart about her is her inside runs. She doesn't always make them, but you'll always see her, taking that second to get her head up and see what's in front of her, and then make a decision to either go straight and try and make a cross, or make that inside run. So she's very smart in that sense, and that is what you need as a footballer. You have to keep looking over your head. You can't just be, in your own zone with the ball. It's all about playing against people and beating them with your head. So, I mean, that's very important. I think we've seen that in both these girls.
Right now, I just mentioned a while back that we're talking about their journey and stuff, but I'll keep it specific to on-field performance. Abreshmina, as someone who's been watching these girls play, our national women's team play, in the little that we've seen them, whether it's for club or for country, what more can you say about these, specifically these two players? Having tracking them since the start, how do you gauge them? And again, how big an opportunity is this for them?
100% a huge opportunity, first of all, and they have to work really hard and make the best of it. In terms of, I think Manisha, her her development as a footballer, what you'll see from when I saw her playing football first to now, she's physically really worked on herself. She had that skill in her foot, but all she needed to really do was develop that sort of physicality that would help her exploit those skills that were there in her, because she was also a runner before she turned to football. So she always had that speed and stuff, but for a footballer to make those bursts of runs, um, it's a very different sort of physical conditioning. So she's actually done that part really well, which has helped her develop her overall game. Grace, she's always been nimble footed. She's always been very skillful as a footballer. So all she's done is just become a better team player and develop her mindset to adapt and set herself against the opponent in a very smart manner.
Right. And when you look at the clubs that they've chosen, the countries that they are going to go, is there anything more that probably you can share with us and our listeners that they get educated about both Uzbekistan and Cyprus? Anything more that you can tell us about?
See, like pretty much like other West Asian countries, it's not like Uzbekistan football is not like super old, but they have actually started working pretty well for their local women footballers. And just the fact that they have a solid 6-month calendar with the league and the cup shows that they really want to develop these footballers, and they want to give themselves a platform to play so many more games and develop themselves. So yeah, I mean that's one good thing about them, and you will see them develop a lot more if they continue, if they're able to continue with this, and obviously work more on the grassroots as well, in order for that uh, level of footballers to keep coming. So yeah, that about Cyprus, I mean it's not obviously like a top football nation in it's not like a top football nation, but I do think that they are also in a developing phase, and they are also uh, sorting their calendar out and increasing games year by year. They have consistently had leagues. Obviously, because of the pandemic, they didn't have it, but they have also been consistently having the league, uh, and they also have a international cup that they have. They in an invitational cup tournament that they have for international teams, not clubs, but say international countries basically. So yeah, I mean they are also in that phase where they are coming up with ideas and you know understanding how they can make their football big. So being in that developing environment, it's very good because you develop along with it. So yeah, I mean I would really say that it's been a good choice for both of them.
Right. Now I'm going to go back a little and one that we saw, I mean, specifically this Manisha Kalyan goal. And I'm sure, I mean, if I was her, I would definitely have that written in bold letters in my resume that I have scored against Brazil. You know, irrespective, I'm not even talking about, I don't even talk about the result, don't care about it. But what a goal that was. And, this girl definitely has a lot more potential to go for. And how do you see that particular game that we had against Brazil, and you see probably that also did change and the level of confidence that she goes about with. How key is it for her to continue with that level?
100%. I mean, just imagine if you score against Brazil and you're able to showcase your skill against, a team of that level. How would you not gain confidence from that? So, 100% that's helped her. I think we've seen her scoring so much more. I think we've seen her going for shots so much more since then. So, yeah, I mean, definitely that she's carrying forward that confidence. And even after that, I mean, not just that goal and that game, but if you see her in the games after that, she has been trying to you know set up herself against her opponents pretty well, in the sense that she takes those couple of seconds to gauge and understand what her opponent is anticipating and what her opponent is trying to achieve against her, and she'll make her move accordingly. So all of those things, I mean, if you play against Brazil, yes, you lose, and they lost obviously, but then you do understand so much about their game. You do learn a few things from them. And I think she's incorporated that and tried to make herself a better footballer for sure.
Okay. Now, if you were to give them a piece of advice, I'm just assuming that probably they might just come across this episode. But if you were to give a piece of advice to both Grace and Manisha, what would that
Keep a very open mind and take things that are going to help your game in, and just soak in that environment, because that will help you develop.
Well, now, as much as I would like to end the show right here on a good note, things are not that great off the pitch for our women's football team. Like I mentioned in the start, things have been messed up, and we all know about the whole issue about Alex Ambrose, what happened, and there was a sexual misconduct allegations against him. All of those is coming out into the light, and we have Abreshmina with us, so might as well probably get some recent developments that has been happening, because it was Arco and Abreshmina that broke the story, and we also heard the podcast at injury time where Phila also joined the two of them, and these guys have been continuously following women's football so closely in our country, and also these kind of stories need to be in the light, and finally it's out there. And well, let's get Brishmana's thoughts on what's happening, the recent developments. We saw, Alex Ambrose sending a legal notice to AIFF. I mean, what the conference that he has probably is just crazy that, that he was forced to admit those are the things that's mentioned in the article that you guys have written. If you can tell us more about what's happening and, your thoughts on the recent developments.
um the last I actually read on Twitter, I think there was a status from Femblu where Ranjit Bajaj commented and said that legal case has been filed against Ambrose. I would honestly like to see some sort of proof for that, because if a legal case of this nature was filed against him, a news that came before uh, Alex sent that legal notice to AIFF. I'm not sure he would have sent that legal notice actually, because the nature of the case is very serious and sensitive. So I'm not sure how that plays. So I mean, that is something that I'm like kind of a little dodgy about. Apart from that, about Alex's legal notice, I mean, I think I was very vocal about it on Twitter as well. I mean, it I don't think there are any words apart from the fact that it boiled my insides to just see him deny it outrightly when there is proof against him. But when you actually think about it, there are a lot of, we don't know the entire story. That is something that I am very sure about. um how is he so confidently and unabashedly sending a legal notice of that nature to AIFF, that this is malified intentions, this is people are plotting against me, revoke my suspension, and have me back in the setup. I mean, it's honestly just bizarre, right? I mean, given everything that we've heard of, given everything that's been reported, to see a legal notice of that nature, it's so weird, to be very honest. And it just makes me feel like I don't really know where we are going with this. I don't know how much prompt action is being taken. I don't know how much internally this whole matter is being taken in as seriousness as we feel it is, right? So it's all really up in the air at the moment. We need so much more clarity from the federation. um we recently had Jaideep Da being appointed as, I think, media liaison. Uh, so, I mean, I I really hope he is able to give us some sort of clarity on all of this, because I think more than anything else, more than the leagues or more than the football, I mean, this matter is of utmost importance, and this is the first thing that um, you know any sort of communication from the federation should be addressing. So yeah, that's about this part of the thing. And other than that, I think the report from the whole psychological report from the team has reached AIFF. As far as I know, the a couple of members of the team staff, including Deneby, did sit with each and every player to talk to them about it, because Alex has been with some of these girls for so long in various teams, right? So it's like, it's just mentally so difficult for people. I mean, I don't think people really understand how mentally, you know taxing and destructive this can actually be. So they genuinely need all the psychological help that they can. As much as I feel like I don't know if they are in the mental state to play football, but I also think it's the distraction that they would want from everything that's happening. So I do kind of understand that bit, that it's also very important for them to be in a state of mind where they at least find happiness in something. So yeah, I mean, all with all this going on, it's just been so difficult. It's just been so difficult to hear a couple of other accounts, and just understand how much of a power play this whole thing was.
I mean, what more can you add to this? Like, especially when I think I remember I had tweeted when I read that about the whole legal notice being sent. It definitely looks like he's so confident because there are more people backing him, and if his stuff comes out, there's more people going to lose their jobs, or more things are going to come out in the light. And I just hope that you guys continue, and as many as more people, like we've also seen ESPN cover some of the stuff. And we hope that this must, like Abreshmina, like you just said, everything else can wait, but this is something that needs to be addressed, and if there is dirt, it needs to be cleaned as soon as possible. Because if we need more people to come out and work towards this, or even for that matter that we need young players, how are parents any going to send, on based on what? Even this news now, it's going to be, I don't know how FIFA is going to react to this. We are going to host this World Cup. uh, I don't know. With all this buzz, if we are still going ahead like nothing's happened, that's just a slap on all our faces. And it's unfair on the girls or on the people that have gone through a lot. Now, we have a friend. I have a friend who had written to the team of the away end, and I would like to take it up here so that Abrishma can probably address that. Uh, he's worked in the football development side, and the questions that he's raised are pertinent, are the right ones, and it definitely Pramod, dear friend. I would just like to say before Abrishma addresses that, these questions are definitely good ones, but it would take some time for the team to get back. But I'll have Abreshmina as one, as the three of them addressed. One of them is you. So if you can just probably address the mail. I mean, the questions are regarding the state associations have child protection policy. Does AIFF have a mandate about POSCO Act, and how is that things and all of those? Abreshmina, would you like to address that?
See, with AIFF, I mean, even their posh committee was formed in a hurry pretty recently. So I am not sure how much of you know functionable committee they have for the POSCO Act as well. I definitely think that the child protection policy would be there for all for AIFF and the state associations on paper, because I don't think any constitution would be written without child protection policy when we know that they're going to be dealing with that. So I'm sure that there are these policies on paper, but I'll actually have need more time to figure out how much of it is in proper functioning mode. uh, so this is what I actually wanted to convey to Pramod, because your his questions are so on point about around the entire safety for the girls, right? Whether there are policies to safeguard them, whether the AIFF and the state associations are working in tandem to safeguard the girls. So yeah, these are very pertinent questions and very right. But and that is why I actually want to like properly figure these things out and get back to him with uh, you know correct replies. So yeah, I would really need like a bit more time. All three of us, Phila, Orko, and I would need a bit more time to get solid information in all of this, and then we'll definitely get back to him.
Yeah. And I think even though the questions come from him, and I'm sure all of us can be educated on those aspects. And Pramod, I hope that answers your question, because you did message me as well. So yeah, I've been my bit of taking it. So I thought I am getting a Brishmana, might as well probably ask her. Uh, these journalists are definitely doing their bit, and I think we should be a little bit more patient. And I'm sure they're gonna, at least I'm sure that these three won't stop talking about it. And we all of us have to make sure they are given that enough support, and we read it, we share it, and we also get educated ourselves. But if we know anything, please do come up and share. Thank you once again, Abreshmina. But before I let you go, there's something I wanted to ask you before. But we know that Bala Devi was back because she was tending an injury, and she's been here since then. Any update on that? Does she go back, or how is her contract like? What's the scene with her? Any recent update?
As far as I know, last they were trying to find another contract for her somewhere else. So yeah, I think they're working on that. But apart from that, I think she's pretty much been training on her own.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Abreshmina, for always abiding and coming onto the show. This was after a really long time. A lot of things happened, and it was great to get you and get your thoughts and insights and your expertise on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Siju. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And that's that, guys. I hope you, I mean, I don't know if you can say the first half, at least you must have enjoyed. The second half, you must have got educated, if not, if nothing else. And I continue to say that, please do. Support these guys. They're doing some amazing work with the Away End or any other publications that are covering these kind of stories, especially at this point. I think they need our support as readers, as people who follow the sport. And thank you once again to you and to Arco and Phila, all of the ones who are doing this amazing job for breaking the news, for bringing it to the light. And, kudos to all those who showed courage to share the stories. And we do stand as humans of Indian football. We are all part of it. All of us stand by the ones who've gone through some not so great times. I just hope things come to an end and justice is served. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the Totally Indian Football Show. We're a podcast that's available on all audio platforms. To subscribe and follow. And if you like this, please do share. Especially this one, do share with the ones probably who don't know about this. So, and big ups to the Grace and Manisha Kalyan for achieving what they have. All the very best to them, and we hope to see them continue soaring heights. Thank you so much once again. I'm your host, Siju Matthew.